During these cold, gloomy, dreary winter months, you may feel that each day is passing by quicker, especially when the sky turns dark soon after co-curricular ends. In fact, the sun is expected to set at around 5:30 p.m. today, which is only 30 minutes after co. For some, you might have already returned to your rooms or homes. For others, you might be enjoying dinner in the dining hall or are still on a ride home. But the truth is, as the day grows shorter, time seems to be slipping through our fingers like sand in an hourglass. And because of this, I find it very easy to become caught up in the rush. Amid the busy lives we lead in and out of Appleby, we are constantly running from one task to the next. Whether it's assignments, tests, or responsibilities, we seem to always be chasing after the clock, minute after minute, second after second. While it's important to take advantage of the countless opportunities Appleby offers and pursue your goals, by being in this rush, we tend to overlook the details of life. In this constant race against time, how often do we slow down and take a pause? How often do we notice the world around us, not just in passing by, but truly notice? Although these details seem trivial, they're indispensable. They're the simple joys of life that go unnoticed. Good morning. My name's Nicole, and today I want to talk about the art of noticing. Consider your perception in life as a camera. Every day, you are witnessing different scenes, moments, and snapshots. But what you capture depends on where you focus the lens of the camera. And most of the time, we keep our cameras zoomed out. We focus more on the bigger picture, like our plans for the day. But when zooming in, you can unlock a whole new world of wonder. Shifting this focus allows you to notice the details normally lost in the background. Perhaps it's the sound of leaves carried by the wind, a squirrel climbing up the tree, a friend's contagious smile, or the fragrance of a cup of freshly brewed coffee on the way to your morning class. These are the moments that may become the highlight of your day you share with your family and friends. They're the snapshots that will be able to paint your life with vibrant colors. While I hate to admit this, most of our days are quite ordinary. They're just very simple. For example, I wake up, get ready, eat breakfast, go to classes, clubs, or co-curriculars. I then complete assignments, study for my next physics test, write my overdue capstone paper, and then go to bed. This list accounts for the majority of our time, and just when I can relax and go to bed to dream of the next snow day, my 10th alarm clock rings and pulls me out of my fantasy world. And now, I have to repeat everything all over again. Truthfully, I've had this mindset for a long time, and it largely made me unmotivated to look forward to the next day. However, over time, I realized that just because our days are repetitive and filled with routine does not mean that they are necessarily boring and dull. The difference lies in whether or not we choose to notice, and that's when I began to practice this form of mindfulness. I remember last week being particularly stressful. I had multiple assignments due, back-to-back tests, while celebrating Chinese New Year with my family and helping out with United Way Week events. That week was very overwhelming for me. I'd used up every second of my day to go to class, study for tests, and attend meetings. It felt like I was simply checking off my to-do list as a machine and not truly living life. Luckily, I was able to find small moments throughout the week that motivated me to push through. For example, one day after co-curricular, I was walking through the dining hall with my friend to have dinner. But upon noticing the long line as usual, we went back to our rooms and decided to return later. It was this very decision that allowed me to witness the sunset that evening. A gradient of pink and orange blending into the blue sky and purple clouds. We stopped and stood right there on the stairs outside of the dining hall. At that moment, I wasn't thinking about my evening plans, what I had to do during study time, or my responsibilities for tomorrow. I was just there, present in that very moment, appreciating the scenery that I may have simply just walked by the past few days ago. Now, that sunset definitely didn't change the number of assignments I had due, even though that would have been for the better. It also didn't erase the stress of my week, but it did shift something in me. It was one of those bells that rang to remind me that as much as life is about getting through the day and upholding responsibilities, it's also about experiencing it. And that starts with noticing and appreciating the small details. This simple idea of paying attention can perhaps transform some of the ways you approach your day. A group of Harvard researchers actually found that humans spend almost 47% of their waking hours thinking about something other than what they're doing, whether it's rethinking a mistake you've made in the past or worrying about something that might happen in the future. And, funnily enough, this trait of mind wandering is our brain's default mode and is what distinguishes humans from other animals. At the same time, the research also revealed that people are the happiest when living in the moment, whether that means exercising or engaging in conversations. Therefore, although our minds have the tendency to dwell on the past or anticipate the future, true happiness lies in being present. As the saying goes, never worry about things 2 hours or 8 kilometers away. So, if we know that true happiness is embedded in the present, how can we start to notice more? How can we intentionally shift our focus? It starts with the small and intentional actions, and here are 3 tips that I would like to share with you. First, slow down. We live in a world that often praises speed. The faster you finish your work, the more productive you are. While productivity is certainly important, we find ourselves stuck in a loophole, always racing from one task to the next. Therefore, slowing down and being present in the moment is the first step to noticing. I first started to intentionally notice the world around me when I was going on walks with my dog, a time when I can set my life at 0.5 times speed. Before having this intention, I'd always thought of this walk as a routine of mine. I usually take the same path where I would pass by the same houses, the same trees, and eventually end up at the same playground. However, starting this time, I began to really examine. I would discover something new each time I walked by that path. Christmas decorations around my neighborhood, the shadows of humongous trees looming over the pavement, and my neighbor playing catch with her golden retriever. Over time, I chose to explore a different path. Instead of turning right, I turned left. I would traverse through the most unexpected path and turn at the most unexpected intersections. I let intuition be my guide, leading me to random places, and the only purpose of my walk was to explore my surroundings. Sometimes, I may have been too carefree, only to realize that I was a little too far away from home. But along these paths, I would catch something new. I discovered a hidden trail and a little free library on one of my neighbor's lawn. While each of these details may not seem important, they were able to ground me in the present moment, reminding me that the world is constantly changing. Each time I set out, I felt like I was uncovering a new layer of a place I thought I had already knew. And I realized that none of these things I noticed were new. They had always been there. I just had never paid attention to them. Second, be mindful and engage your senses with the world. My intention to notice prompted me to pick up photography. This really helped me train my eyes to see the world around me because I have to observe my surroundings to carefully decide which angle would allow me to best capture the essence I wanted to convey. Over the summer, I traveled to California with my family, and against the advice of my mom, I brought my camera with me on the trip. While carrying the heavy camera around the entire day did place a lot of burden on my shoulders, overall, I would say it was worth it. As I explored through the streets of San Francisco and wandered along the coastlines, I realized how much the camera actually encouraged me to slow down, look closer, and truly engage with my environment to see if there was anything I wanted to record. Even though I didn't pick up my camera every time, I felt immersed and present in that moment under the sunshine of California. And hopefully, we'll be able to have some of that here in Oakville by the end of March when spring finally arrives. Third, practice gratitude. Noticing is also about appreciation and recognizing the beauty in everyday life. It helps us to shift our focus from what is missing to perhaps finding that in or just realizing what is already there. Recognize that each moment has its value, no matter how grand or small. That is how we can fully engage with the world around us and cultivate a deeper connection. Slow down and be present in the moment. Take a step back and breathe. Engaging in these acts of mindfulness allow us to find meaning in the ordinary, appreciate the beauty and complexity of the world, and thereby lead a fuller and meaningful life. When we start noticing, we start truly living. Now, these tips focus on ways to cultivate a deeper connection between yourself and the world around you. And of course, adapt them to suit your needs. However, there's another major factor, that constantly diverts our attention, which is the digital world. Whether it's phone calls, emails, notifications, or social media, our minds are frequently pulled in multiple directions, making it harder to be fully present. Although these platforms do serve important functions, helping us stay connected with family and friends and providing moments of entertainment, they also take up an excessive amount of our time. I know I certainly have developed a habit of responding to messages when I'm walking to class or mindlessly scrolling on Instagram before doing work or going to bed. But the challenge is that technology is designed to capture our attention, and the scrolling, autoplay videos, and constant notifications. These mechanisms keep us engaged with the digital world, and while they do offer moments of joy, they tend to distract us from what is happening in the real world. So, the next time, instead of zooming into our screens and replying to messages while walking from one place to the next, shift your focus and zoom into the world around you. Look around and absorb your surroundings. Maybe you'll see funnily shaped clouds, or get a chance to catch up with a friend you haven't talked to in some time. Or maybe you'll even discover something new about the Appleby campus that you haven't noticed before. I once read a line from a poem by Mary Oliver, a prominent American poet. She wrote, "Instructions for living a life. Pay attention, be astonished, tell about it." So let's pay attention. Let's be astonished. Let's capture these moments like snapshots in a camera. Let's share these small and yet beautiful moments with those around us, and let us never take the beauty embedded in our lives for granted. Now please rise and join to sing hymn number 662, "The Trees of the Field." We'll be singing it through 3 times.